Hello and welcome to another live coding session for Runes of Aereal, part 7 on creating the crafting interface. Let's just see where we got last time. We've created this interface. We can select a spellbook and then we can drag items here and we can drag them back. Basically that's it. Let's give that a try. Let's do that. You see we've got a bug. So we've put that back here and then this shadow copy disappears. Why is that? Why is that? Why is that? So tween back, clear crafting shadows. Of course. We pick all of the shadow copies and then we destroy all the shadow copies. So that's a problem when we start dragging a second item, of course. The question is, should we actually clear those shadow copies? We can just leave them there. Let's delete that altogether. Let's just leave the shadow copies there. Of course, we're constantly creating shadow copies, so it's becoming more actually there are like 20 of them right now over one another. So basically what we should do is we should create one only if there is one, if there isn't one already. So what we'll do is here we pick by evaluate, we pick crafting, where the crafting.object type now equals our object type and crafting.location is shadow. And if that yields nothing, so in the else branch, what we do is we create it. So let's see if that works. Okay, and now it's only one single one because it doesn't get recreated every time. So that's exactly what we want. So the disadvantage of this logic is that once we start dragging once, this shadow copy is created and it stays there forever actually. But that doesn't really matter, does it? It's not in the way. And if you now go back to the spellbooks, the shadow copies remain. So what would that be? So we switch towards the spellbooks and we switch towards the spellbooks. Oh, and we pick the crafters equal to scroller. Yes, and here we should say or crafting dot location is shadow, of course. And let's see what that looks like. So we create some shadow copies and they're gone. Okay, perfect. So, oh, that's not good. So I drag over and I release. When I release, it stays red. We've got some issues there. So whenever I release, this stays red. So what's this called again? So we lock the selection, lock on our selection. All those overlays. Yeah, crafting validation overview. Where do we use it? Let's see. So when we're over the crafting validation overlays, set content. Yes. Okay, and we're dragging, and we're over the camera, and we're dragging, and we're not over. Yeah. So actually, let's do that. Disable that and see what that looks like. Select the spellbook. So actually it's only when we move our mouse past, of course. So so also on drag drop we should say move, set opacity to 0. What do we do then? Okay, that's it. Okay, that's it. Okay, perfect. I think. Yeah, it seems to be working fine. So what I did is just on drop I reset all the opacities. When I'm not over a crafting overlay, irrespective if I'm dropping, I'm just resetting, and I'm just coloring it to 50% if I'm dragging and I'm over a crafting overlay and it's the wrong object type, of course. Then that's the only case I set the opacity to 50. So that works pretty well. So now I want to have some logic, whereas that if I'm now going to the items here, nothing is selected here because the spellbook is not selected. So I shouldn't be able to go to the items here. This shouldn't be able to work whenever I don't have a spellbook selected yet. At least a spellbook should be selected. So what I'm going to do is okay, I'm going to have a C. When we switch the crafting selection towards spellbooks, we create all of these things, but let's create a global string here called current spellbook and make it empty. We shouldn't be switching as the action is items and the current spellbook is not set. So what we're doing is when we're switching towards spellbooks, that when we're selecting a spellbook, and we're going to set a value, what was it called? Current spellbook, I think. Current spellbook. That's it. To the spellbooks dot object array. Great. And then when we switch towards here, what we want to do is we want to check comparative values being the menu dot action equals items. Then and the current comparative values, the current spellbook is different from empty, then we can do that. Else, if it's spellbooks, then we can also do that. So if it's items, we switch only if the spellbook is filled in, else if it's spellbooks, we also switch. So let's see if that works. Can't switch, and then we switch back. So once we've selected one, it's actually basically doesn't really matter. Okay, that's great. So that's exactly what we want. So now we want to be able to drag some stuff in here and basically craft. But first we want to mimic a situation where we cannot craft. So whenever we press the craft button here and nothing happens because there's not enough ingredients here. So at that moment there should be a message somewhere stating, okay, not enough ingredients. So where are we going to put that message? A good question. Maybe we should make that a little bit smaller. Let's see. If we make that a little bit smaller and we put it there, then just enough space there. Let's make a copy of that and put it there. Is this also on content? This is on scroll already, but it doesn't really matter which layer it is. And let's call this like error message, and make it like a reddish color. That way, okay, and put it more in the middle. Okay, great. Let's save that. And let's do something like that. Let's ID it with error message. So whenever I'm starting the layout, I'm going to pick the ID with error message, and I'm going to set it to quote, and I'm also going to do that whenever we switch to spell books. So whenever we when we switch toward spell books, we're going to also do that. Okay, great. And now we need some logic for the crafting button. So this is a menu button with action craft. So what we'll do is make a copy of this and do that. Lose that. So we have a different left button click event altogether. That'll be more handy to identify. So let's see. Now we should know if all of these three are occupied, yes or no. So the content is being set or no. So this content, let's see, is just to check with the dragging overlay. So what we'll do is when we switch crafting ingredient box here, let's say occupied. Occupied is 0. So what we're going to do now is initialize all of these to 0. Whenever we switch towards spell books, what we're going to do, of course, is crafting ingredient box, set the value occupied is 0. So we're starting with not occupied. And then when we're dropping, we're setting the I position here, and then we set the crafting ingredient box set value to occupied in 1. Like that. And now what we should do is also check if it is overlapping the crafting ingredient box, then the crafting ingredient box set value occupied we reset to 0. That's cool. That's cool. Let's see how that works, if that works okay in debug mode. So let's search for all the crafting ingredient boxes here. Where is it? Here we are. So occupied 0, 0, 0, great. And then we put that there, and then we should have occupied 1, 0, 0. We move that out, 0, 0, 0. Okay, these are good. Good. So that works fine. So because we did that now, we actually know how many of those are occupied. Yes, we actually know how many of those are occupied, so that means that we can complete this event here. So we can pick by evaluate crafting ingredient box, whereby crafting ingredient box not occupied is 1, and then we compare two values, being crafting ingredient box dot pick count equals exactly 3, and only at that time we can actually craft, but let's not do that yet. If it's not picked, now what shall we do? We shall pick by evaluate, pick the generic text, whereby the generic text text.id equals error message, and then we say generic text set text not enough ingredients. Let's do that. Check it. So not enough ingredients. Okay, that's great. Okay, now we've made this slightly smaller. It means that this scroll is a bit too big. That's a slight bug. Now let's do that. That's done while creating a spell box, I presume. Yes, pick last scroll, set opacity to 70, and then we say scrolls, set the scale to 0.8, maybe something like that. What does it do? Ooh, that's not good. Let's set it to 0.5. That's better. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost able to craft something. So this doesn't work, of course, because nothing is... because we haven't selected an item. Okay. Great. Let's do something like that. Go there, go there, go there, go there. Interesting. Ah, okay, yes. Why didn't that appear? That is because, of course, when we pick something and nothing is picked, else that should also happen when nothing is picked. See, not enough ingredients. So maybe we should also change that if no spell box is okay, then comparative values if current spell book equals quote, then we should also do something like that. Select a spell book first, like that, else something like that. So first we check if there is a spell box. If there's no spell box, then we do that. If there is a spell box, then we check if all the ingredients are there. If there's not a single one with occupied 1, then we execute this, not enough ingredients. And if there is more than 1 or more, then we check if there is 3 exactly, then we should craft, and we're going to do that later. Else we're going to set not enough ingredients. So that's it. Let's check if that's okay. Craft, select the spellbook first. Okay, not enough ingredients. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So that's it for this video on the crafting interface. Hang on tight for the next video, because in that video we're going to effectively craft the item here and add it to our inventory. But so long, please like, please subscribe, and if you want a full source code of this game, please support me on my Patreon page. The link is in the description. Bye bye.